Hey guys, welcome back. We're here for another interview at the Staking Summit 2025 in Buenos Aires, Argentina. This time I'm joined by Lorenzo, founder and CRO, correct, for Colossus Digital. First, thanks for being here, for joining us. I'm not sure if I interviewed it in the past summits. I know you were interviewed, but I don't know if it was me or not.
No, it wasn't you.
It wasn't. Yeah. So it's always a pleasure, of course, having you guys here. You've been with us for a long time. But for the people that might not have heard of you before, if you can give us like a quick rundown of what Colossus Digital is.
Nice. So thank you very much, and thanks for this opportunity. So I think that we are exactly the kind of company that was born in this ecosystem because we actually started as a validator, and so for us, the Staking Summit has always been the place where you get exposed to what's happening next.
Yeah.
And then we pivoted a first time, and we became also a custodian. And then we pivoted one more time, which is what we are today. And this setup has been going now for close to 2 years. Basically, we are the connecting tissue of the institutional space. So we connect asset holders to yield.
All right.
That's us
Okay.
in a nutshell.
What led you to this transition? What did you see in the space that made you think, okay, this is the route we want to follow?
Yeah, well, that's a great question, and I think that when you, first of all, when you work in tech and you're in startups, you should never be shy to change when something doesn't make sense. And so basically, what we realized is that there was bits of the value chain missing, because the good thing about what we do in the space is that we are somehow recreating the traditional finance in a more decentralized and more efficient way.
Okay.
So that's where we started looking at. And what we realized is that in a traditional finance, if you give your assets to a bank, the bank is not going to say, well, but you can only work with this bank and that bank, which you want to send your assets, and what currencies you can hold, because they're going to choose that you can only hold 3 currencies and say, this is what's happening today in the institutional space.
Yep.
So if I'm an institutional holder and I'm using, I won't make names, but just a custody environment, that custody environment will limit you or allow you to do what they decide in terms of chains and in terms of providers. And we're in the business of decentralized ledger technology. So the last thing you want is for these custody environments to be instead the ones centralizing everything on very few providers. But here, there's lots of providers. That's exactly why we're here, to meet the fantastic ecosystem that we work in. We want to make sure that everybody gets a piece. But it's not just because we like to give out revenues random. It's because that's the whole ethos that the industry is about. Is making sure that we are decentralized, that there is no single point of failure, that and that's the direction that we should all go. And so the platform that we have created does exactly that. So it removes the barriers. I've been around, I call myself a seasoned founder. And so I was there when, the .com and the .com, everything was, and Portals, everything was concentrated. It makes no sense because at the end, everything is vertical. You want to buy your shoes at a place, you buy yours. So there are now leaders in this space. And that's, again, what we're doing. We are trying to remove these barriers and make sure that everybody is able to interact with everything, of course, in a compliant, regulated, verifiable way.
All right. And, given that you're, I would say, early in this transition, right? What were the challenges that you have been facing to get there?
Yeah, so the first challenge was repeating to everybody, we are not a validator anymore, because it's like...
Including us.
But you're, exactly. You're perceived as a competitor, although I think the nice thing about this market is that we talk more about co-petition. So community or cooperation, which can be also, there is some nice, nice vibes of everybody want to have the best product. And that's good because every founder should want to have the best product. And that's why, of course, we're here. But I think that the rest, the industry is just fantastic. So I'm very, very happy to be here again.
Yeah, okay, right. And you mentioned co-petition or competition. I guess there are others trying to do similar things that what you are doing. what do you see as your main advantages?
Yeah. So first of all, when we started this, I kept calling it a blue ocean. Now it's not a blue ocean anymore. Luckily, there are others. I think that it makes sense because first of all, it gives you market validation. You're not just the only crazy guy doing this.
Exactly.
Because then it's like you're alone. It's that there's others. I think that's very good because the market is gigantic. And the problem that we have is not about who's going to take one customer or the other customer. It's who's going to bring the customers that are not customers today.
Okay.
Because the biggest, the one data number I would like to give is that 13% of institutional capital is generating yield. 13%. Okay. That means that the rest is not generating anything. So it's not about who's going to get a piece of that 13%. No, who's going to bring on board the 87% that's missing. Okay. And so there is about 50 billion of yield lost just because you're not using it. So, it's, and go from the top or your Bitcoin all the way down and even just take the 50 proof of stake assets, put that together. And then, of course, even DeFi. Because, DeFi is, first you got to unlock the capital, which is locked anyway. Then you start with staking, which is a native yield. And then you can evolve to everything. We just had a panel about real world assets. Of course, that's going to go there. But then there's going to be nuances of how that is executed. Now, of course, we are agnostic. So we're never going to be pushing one or the other. But we make sure that when we onboard a protocol, that protocol is institutional ready. So, does it have KYB? Does it check sanctions? And these things that institutions expect. And of course, there is a fine line of getting too traditional, but at the end of the day, you're going to see more suits around these places, and hopefully there's going to be more zeros added to the market cap of assets.
It's only natural, right? That as the industry matures, there are more suits and more institutional people, of course. But it's funny that you mentioned that 87% of the capital is not generating yield. Because just the other day, I had a friend that has a company. He was like, what do you think I should invest in? I have Bitcoin, I have Ethereum. And I'm like, you have them? What do you mean you have them? Are you staking? No, I have them in an exchange. I'm like, nah, man, no. You know me. Talk to me. And so we need this layer of facilitating this to institutions that can then bring the retail as well, right? Okay, we now have a way for you to select the best provider, the best asset for your case, and then, of course, the retail will come because then there's an easy solution for this. So, very interesting that you mentioned this because I had the same kind of thought the other day that a lot of people are not doing anything with their assets.
It's like they just wait for the market to go up, which, it's not a wrong thing, but still, why should you not interact with that yield? It's there for you to take. It's the most natural thing. And by the way, staking secures the network. It's not
and the risk is minimal, right?
Absolutely.
Of course, it can be high if you want to, but the native staking, the risk is nowadays is zero.
Yes,
right. So
absolutely. No, I also think that, for example, when defining an institution as somebody that's using a custody environment, but think about this. Up to recently, if you had 10 Bitcoin, you had 100K. Now you have 10 Bitcoin, you have 1 million. Not today, but whatever. But still,
maybe tomorrow.
Yeah, exactly. So it is still too little to start thinking about having a professional custody platform. But the level at which people will get those platforms because you want to be resistant, you want to have multi-sig, you don't want to go around with, $10 million in your pocket.
Yes.
I think that you're going to see more and more, even non-institutional, using institutional grade products or other products arriving, which are multi-sig with, a custodian holding a key and somebody else. So I really think that transitional approach is going to be the way to go. Yeah. We're going to see a lot of interesting things happen in this space.
Great. No, good insight. Great. Okay, to kind of wrap it up, I've been asking this to all my guests here. There's so many leaders in the industry here, and I want to have like a broad perspective of what they think is coming next, specifically to the staking ecosystem, right? So I want to pick your brain in what do you think is the next big thing coming to this space in the next, 1-2 years? SaaS, yeah.
Well, I mean, from the way that I see it, definitely it is the institutions coming on and really going for the serious tickets that we haven't seen, and therefore famous unlocking that 87%. That's going to be the biggest one. I also think that we're all waiting for the providers or the ETP or ETFs to be staking all of their assets. Some of that's happening in the US, and regulation's going to catch up. I think in Europe there's still a bit of work to do. Now we're Swiss, so we're Swiss. Switzerland has a fantastic regulation for staking, and that's why, for example, we are speaking on a daily basis with banks. In Europe, that's more. Of course, you speak to them. Very complicated. Everybody's waiting. Oh, you go first. I'll go first. We're gonna go first. That's kind of thing, because everything's ready. Everything is ready. There is nothing that needs to be built. It's just a click away. But when you make that click, there's going to be consequences if it's not done right. So I think that's why you really need the serious consultancies to come in and to support these large players, because it's going to help everybody. Because we want to grow the pie, not take it one from another. Let's have a bigger pie.
Yeah, of course. Lorenzo, again, thanks a lot. It's been very insightful and very fun to do this interview. I don't know if you want to end up by saying something to anyone who wants to follow you or know more about Colossus Digital.
Okay, thank you very much, and it's been great speaking to you, and like it that I see you every year. So I'm looking forward to the next edition. So for everybody that wants to follow us, colossus.digital is the website, and we look forward to supporting any institutional customers out there that want to know how to generate and interact with the best yield out there. And the one thing which I think is important that we didn't touch on today is the fact that as asset holders get more advanced, I would say, or just like risk averse, they're going to be using multiple custody environments, and they're going to be using multiple providers. Today, that means using 15 different platforms. With Colossus, you can orchestrate custody and you can orchestrate providers from one central point, and that data you can extract for your reporting necessities, which again, as institutions come in, that's going to be a huge part, although it's not mission critical. It has nothing to do with yield, but unless you do, if you don't do it right, it's a problem.
Yeah, it's one less friction point, right? For sure.
Exactly.
All right. Again, thank you, Lorenzo, and see you guys next time.